isn't it? Look, everyone's here enjoying a nice evening.
Sunrise over the burn camp. The Great Karoo at its most tranquil. In contrast to the vast, hostile, harsh environment the riders will encounter on Stage 4 of the Nedbank Gravel Burn. The vibey VDE crew dispensed the morning essentials. The mood was bright and breezy. Bikes received their morning fix of lube to ensure smooth riding all day long. After 3 days, riders needed proper fuel for their 4th day's journey. The remote Blaauwater Farm had worked its magic already. An air of relaxed but focused calm prevailed. Everything in place for another glorious day on the bike. Perhaps the mood had been set by the previous night's activity. The Nedbank Gravel Burn brought a unique race to the Karoo, the Night Burn. Riders had a chance to qualify on Stage 2 for the short, exciting lap race lit by blazing firelight. Intrigued by the innovative event, the rest of the burn community gathered like Karoo sheep around the course and cheered their fellow riders on as they blasted around in a blur of spectacular light and flames. The main man of the night was Tom Pidcock, and he had a bit of work to do as well.
So the idea is a bit of a fox chase. Yeah, we have 35 riders, I believe. They set off, they have half a lap head start, and then last woman and man standing win. So I've got the hard job.
It's something new, it's something different. I don't think any stage race has ever had something like this. It's really rad.
How long do you think it's going to take Tom Pidcock to get you?
Very quick.
A fun night after a great day on the bike. Union High and Graaff-Reinet bade farewell to the riders on Stage 3 as they rolled out of the 4th oldest town in South Africa. The 43-kilometre-long drag up to Conical Peak took them into the Kamdebou National Park along the spectacular Erasmus Kloof Road. Dipping his toes into the headwaters first, Lucas Postelberger, the Austrian champion, pedalled away from the peloton at a pace brisk enough to gradually open a gap of close on 60 seconds at best. He was eventually caught by Tristan Norkier. The pair rode together very briefly before Norkier bolted off the front. A dozen chasers did eventually shut down the Buco ChemChamp ride on the flat road through the Sundays River Valley. The stakes were high, as was the pace. With 7 of the GC top 10 in the lead group, there was everything to play for. The long flat road across the Kamdebou Plains saw the 9-strong lead group playing a game of bluff and counter-bluff. On the final ascent to the windmill and the finish line, Hugo Dreschu attacked, hoping his legs and lungs would carry him all the way to the line. But the gradient bit, he began fading as Simon Pellaud launched a powerful counter-attack. The Swiss star blazed past the French champion to join Matt Beers as the Nedbank Gravel Burn stage winner. Dreschu took second and Trevor Stedman third place. Beers, who finished 4th, ceded 8 seconds to the stage winner, who is now 55 seconds behind the ember jersey. Solid day for Lucas Baum, remains in third, 1:49 down. After 2 days of racing, the women's GC had Axel Dubau-Prevot leading Ashley Montpassio by 13 seconds, Melisa Rollins 1:46 down. German Clara Koppenberg set an early pace. The undulations took a toll and Koppenberg's day was done. A puncture. First she couldn't fix it, eventually she did. But time leaked away like the air from a back tyre. A selection was made on the short but steep Rotswas climb, Montpassio putting her cards on the table as one of the best climbers in the world. The net effect was that by the time they reached the flat roads and the river crossing, a select group of 8 were away and preparing to fight for the stage win. Among them, Preen, Smith, Janne Giggler, the Austrian, Montpassio, Dubau-Prevot, Stevens, Hottinger and Melisa Rollins. On a long flat drag towards Blaauwater Farms and the burn camp, Preen and Montpassio dragged them closer to the finish. But disaster for Preen. She stopped after a long strand of wire had wound its way around her front hub. The second day in succession, the African champion's stage hopes have been dashed by wretched luck. The remaining 7 riders approached the final climb. First to drop was Giggler, the Austrian champion. The tension was building. Then after sitting at the back of the group, Lauren Stevens jumped and attacked up the right. Hayley Smith and Milman Passer reacted. It was too late. The American champion claimed the stage win by 2 seconds from the South African and the Canadian. Axel Dubau-Prevot's lead was cut by a second. Melisa Rollins is just under 2 minutes back. Preen's misfortune cost her over 3 minutes. She's still fourth now, 5:22 down. The only loop stage of the week, Stage 4, starts and finishes at Blaauwater Camp. It traces a remote highland loop through the wild heart of the Karoo, passing close to the remarkable Compassberg. The climbing will take a toll on cold legs as it starts early. Tafelberg, Leeuwkop, Kompass and Alklim could be pivotal in the race for stage honours. The peaceful artist haven of New Bethesda will reverberate under rolling tyres as they roll back down for a second night at the Blaauwater Burn camp. A bright morning as the elite men gathered on the start line for Stage 4.
We obviously had quite high altitude here in comparison to all the other days, so I think that might play a part, and obviously there's quite a bit of wind, so I believe on top of the plateau there's going to be even more wind.
We're very remote right now, and it's a very foreign landscape to me. I'm not used to being somewhere this open and this windy and just this rugged, I guess.
This is in the middle of the wilderness here in the Karoo, a different experience for me, for South Africa. But this raw wild.
That's the real gravel burn. Here it is. Here we are, in the middle of nowhere. That's what I came for.
Yeah, it's still a long way to go. And I'm happy I'm still wearing the jersey on day 4.
Axel Dubau-Prevot leading the women's race in the Ember leader's jersey. Tension ahead of the start. All primed and ready to roll into the Great Karoo under a call from the kudu horn. The men's elite batch rolled past the Gravel Burn windmill onto stage number 4. It would be a tough one, 111 kilometers, 1,450 meters of climbing, the same of descending, and the climbing started immediately. No easing into today. Tafelkop was the first challenge, and it had the effect of thinning out the group immediately. Those who had perhaps spent too much energy over the first 3 days dropped quite quickly, leaving 16 at the front as they crested Tafelkop. Unfamiliar faces in this group were Georg Egger, Lucas Baum's partner. Alex Miller, the Namibian champion, was in there as well. Lachlan Morton and Tom Pidcock had made another appearance at the front end of the race, clearly easing into the stage race here at the Nedbank Gravel Burn. Spectacular riding from these champions of multi-disciplines in the sport of cycling. Pidcock at the back as they hooked a right and headed up towards the Leeuwkop climb, the second of 5 challenging ascents in today's route, an out and back route around the spectacular Compassberg. Meanwhile, they were climbing Leeuwkop with Lucas Postelberger, the Austrian champion, who'd ridden on the front for nearly 40 kilometers on stage 3, back in the front. It was a steady pace as they reached the top of the climb. On the descent, Simon Pellaud and Lucas Postelberger got on the front, as well as Tristan Norkier looking to move up from his 4th place overall on general classification. The man watching him closest was Ugo Dreschu, who was just behind him on general classification. The wide open expanses of the Great Karoo for them to enjoy. Not just that, Tom Pidcock and Simon Pellaud spotted something quite beautiful. Africa had come to them. The wildebeest dashing across the road just in front of the riders. Spectacular stuff. This is true African riding in the wilderness. The Gravel Burn, living up to its name. Lucas Baum had his teammate Georg Egger for the first time in the break. Egger bearing himself in the service of Lucas Baum today. Lucas Postelberger's time on the front had come to an end. He was hanging on at the back together with Johan van Zyl. Matt Beers had made no appearance at the front of the race for the first 25 kilometres as Baum and Egger drove a fearsome pace through the dust. They were approaching the first of the Puttstals 2 today, this at 32 kilometres. Hooking a right away from the headwind, it would now be a crosswind as they turned onto the road that would lead them to New Bethesda. Trouble for the German champion and former mountain bike marathon world champion Andreas Seerwold. True professional that he is, a quick CO2 bomb reinflated, no panic, and he was back on the bike. But he had to work really hard if he was going to try and regain contact with this motivated group. Postelberger back on the front. Travis Stedman, Matt Beers, Tristan Norkier, and Tom Pidcock starting to just lose a little bit of contact with the group. Riders were popping off the back. Johan van Zyl was next to go. Postelberger again at the back because on the front, it was the first appearance of the man in the Ember Leaders jersey, Matt Beers. And when he goes to the front, all the riders pay attention. Marco Huber, the South African champion, had such a fantastic year, including winning that title earlier this year in KwaZulu-Natal. Simon Pellaud, well, this man is second overall, just 55 seconds behind Matt Beers, and he was trying to make it hard to thin this group out. Characterized by tough climbs, there were also the long flowing descents through the remote Great Karoo. Truly spectacular riding on a day when the wind would play a role and the climbs would take no prisoners. Strung out down the descent, 9 riders heading towards New Bethesda. Had some work to do on the descent, Simon Pellaud, with Lucas Baum, the former German gravel champion, and Beers warming to his task today to defend that Ember Leaders jersey. His main rival, Simon Pellaud, was never far away from the big South African. Flying down the descents at high speed, Compassberg is the focal point, and it loomed behind the riders. They would see it from another angle later on in the stage. This is stage 4 of the Nedbank Gravel Burn. Swinging into New Bethesda, a quaint village, home of artists, artisans, and Helen Martins' famed Owl House. No stopping at the second of the Puttstals for this group. They had a race to win. An indication from those big willow trees that the wind was at their backs for a change. Hugo Dreschu sitting on the wheel of Lucas Baum. Then it was Tristan Norkier, Lawrence Narson just alongside Matt Beers, Simon Pellaud on the front, Travis Stedman tapping out a steady rhythm. The wind had mitigated against any early attacks, hence the relatively sedate pace for the time being. An inveterate front-runner and attacking rider, Simon Pellaud, who earns a living as a road racer on the Asian circuits racing for Li Ning. And he decided to have an attack off the front. And Matt Beers said, I'm going with you, because there was only 55 seconds between the two on general classification. And Beers pulled him to heel and they rode together. Look over his shoulder would tell Simon Pellaud that they had snapped the elastic to the riders behind them. The race was on now. The only challenge ahead of them was Tafelkop, but it was a long drag along the wide open roads towards Tafelkop. The wind was behind them. They shared the work through, cooperating with one another, and it would come down to the strongest legs in the end to see who would win stage 4. Beers already with 2 stages to his name. Simon Pellaud, the Swiss rider, picked up stage 3. This was the GC battle in full force. Pellaud is a man who can climb with the best of them. Beers, though, has immense power on the flats, and he used it to great effect, having got over the top just behind Pellaud, he came down the descent and rocketed towards the finish, ensuring that his pace was too high for Simon Pellaud to counter, taking a third stage win, winning stage 4. Matthew Beers in the Assos Ember leader's jersey consolidates that position, increases his overall lead by a couple of seconds over the Suicider Simon Pellaud.
It was stressful with a lot of wind all the day through, but in the end, I think that with Smart we show again that we are the strongest rider in the race. We could take some time on the podium also, and so it's been a really good day out for me.
Matt Beers' third stage win by 2 seconds from Simon Pellaud, winner of stage number 3. Lawrence Narson's best result of the week. He, the Belgian, finishing in third place. Marco Hubert and Hugo Drescho closing out the top 5. On general classification, Beers' lead still very, very narrow from Simon Pellaud. Lucas Baum lost time. He's still in third place, though Dreschu and Nokia closed the top 5.
Today was actually pretty nice, and like the gravel was really good. There was a few sections that was kind of rough, but yesterday was way rougher. It's been a magical way to start this, and anything from now is bonus, I think. I'm obviously going to fight till the end.
The racing's been tight all the way through the Nedbank Gravel Burn in the elite women's race. The Ember leader's jersey on the shoulders of Axel Dubau-Prevot by just 12 seconds from South Africa's Ashu Moman-Pasio. Those two would watch each other like hawks throughout this stage number 4. Hayley Smith, the Canadian on the wheel of the race leader here, has grown into the race. Clara Koppenberg will be looking to redeem herself after a puncture on stage 3 ended her hopes of taking a stage win. The lead bunch was thinned out fairly quickly on the first rise up Tafelkop, and in time-honoured fashion, it was Ashley Moman-Pasio who led them up, the preeminent climber in the race. Over the top, and it was thinned down even more. Hayley Smith on the front. Preen was in the group, as was Moman-Pasio, Clara Koppenberg as well. The German has ridden the Tour de France Femme this year, in the service of French rider Victor Berthaud. Recovery time, Olivia Hottinger had linked up with the group as well. Motivated clearly to defend her title and weary of the presence of Ashley Moman-Pasio, Axel Dubau-Prevot doing a lot of the work on the front early on. Swinging past the first of the putt styles, the wind now playing a factor coming in from their right. And ever vigilant Dubau-Prevot focused and concentrated as she contemplated the next challenge, which would be Compass Climb. Melisa Rollins sitting alongside her. Third place overall, Rollins, 1 minute and 50 seconds down. The road tilted up, and Clara Koppenberg in the Cofidis kit started sliding back off the tail of this lead group. Moman-Pasio leading up again the climb with Compassberg, a watching sentinel in the distance. Koppenberg preferring to stay off the back of the charging descenders, as Hayley Smith, again showing the Canadian has got really good legs late season. So has Lauren Stevens, winner of stage 3, bolted from the back of the group. Familiar manner, she won stage 3 doing just that. And away she went. A fairly late reaction from the rest of the racers. Dubau-Prevot eventually bridging across and dragging all the other riders with her. For the third day in a row, more mechanical issues for the African champion Hayley Preen. When will this young rider's luck turn? Surely before the end of the week. Splashing through one of the low rivers. And trouble for Olivia Ottinger, the Swiss rider, now having to plug and eventually reinflate with a CO2 canister as the amateur riders rolled past her. Trouble also for Axel Dubau-Prevot, much bigger trouble. She punctured and had to stop and lost copious amounts of time, and with it the overall lead. That would rest with this lady on the road, Ashley Moman-Pasio. Just 12 seconds was the deficit. It was growing with every pedal stroke that Moman-Pasio rode away from the distressed Frenchwoman. Motivated now on a crash. Hayley Smith going down on a flat piece of road. And the Canadian dusting herself off bravely getting back up, a shake of the head, and the tension of the race very, very evident. And that crash certainly compromising Hayley Smith's hopes of taking a stage win. Compassberg, a fighting ride by the German all day long. A swing through the picturesque town of New Bethesda, tucked away in the hills in the Sneuberg and Nosterberg Mountains. Time to fuel up for all the riders. The final was approaching. Hayley Smith sitting well off the back of this, no doubt weary of getting involved again after the crash. Hayley Preen and Ashley Moolman-Pasio, the two South Africans, leading up one of the shorter climbs, with Melisa Rollins growing into the stage and getting stronger and stronger and launching a little bit of an attack to soften up the group. Compassberg dropping off the back. Bearing the dust and scars of the crash, Hayley Smith just rolling it home, perhaps feeling the pain after that crash. All goes with the territory in the hurly-burly of a race situation. Compassberg dangling off the back once again. The German rider digging so deep to try and regain contact, but eventually the elastic would snap, and it was four riders heading for the summit of Tafelkop. Off the top, Melisa Rollins got away quickly, and Hayley Preen had to get around Moolman-Pasio and Lauren Stevens to try and hunt it. She shut down the gap very impressively with some seriously good descending. It came down to just a couple of seconds. But there was still around 7 kilometers to the finish, and Melisa Rollins, who has found great late season form here in South Africa, powered to victory, becoming the second American to win a stage at the Nedbank Gravel Burn. Not a good day for the French erstwhile leader.
I felt so good on the bike today. I already felt fire in my legs. I didn't know what happened. I just hear that, and I had a front puncture, but I had a double puncture, and I had to stop at the neutral station, but they had to change my tires, and it took such a long time. I understood the GC is done. I feel really strong, but not strong enough to close I think 20 minutes gap now. It's done. If I was good today, I will be good again tomorrow, and watch out for tomorrow. I will be really aggressive.
A torrid day for Axel Dubau-Prevot. 10 minutes and 2 seconds she lost. Rollins taking a stage win ahead of Preen and Ashley Moolman-Pasio, with Lauren Stevens in fourth place. That means that the overall lead now sits with South Africa's Ashley Moolman-Pasio by 1 minute and 9 seconds ahead of Hayley Preen, now in third place. Axel Dubau-Prevot, 9 minutes 21 down. Surely she will go for a stage later in the week. The chilled communal camping vibe was just what a rider wanted at the end of a ride.
And just having a good time, and not really any stress, getting ready, forgetting things, all part of the being normal, isn't it? Washing my bottles in the sink and sleeping in a tent. Yeah, I think it's me in a lot of ways. I'm a normal person who does normal stuff like everyone else. I mean, yeah, I'm in a relaxed mood, but everyone still sees me as, the person I am the rest of the year. So it's nice to have normal conversations with people.
Stage 5 and the Nedbank Gravel Burn turns away from the heart of the Karoo and heads southeast. It's 137 kilometers, 1,580 meters of climbing from Blaauwater to Merino, and includes almost 60 kilometers of tarmac riding that starts with the Compassberg climb. There are 3 putt styles along the way before the mighty Swarshoek Pass will take them right up into the heavens and a precipitous descent into the finish at Merino.